Welcome to From the Gut, an unscripted conversation centered on spiritual health and human values. I'm your host, George Grant from the Woodruff Health Sciences Center at Emory University. Our topic for Series 1 is joy at work. And our special guest today is Latrenda Dumas. And Latrenda is a site supervisor for the laboratory at the Winship Cancer Institute on the Clifton campus, otherwise known as Building C. Welcome, Latrenda.
Thanks for having me.
Well, we're delighted that you could be with us today. And we had a little hiccup there with the technology, as we always do, but at least with a smile, because what we're about is a forgiving kind of climate, particularly when it's very stressful, right? And today's world with regard to healthcare, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and so there's just a lot of extra layers of distress. But I'm here today because I'm really fascinated by you. I've heard through the grapevine that you have a very loving countenance and spirit, and that you have exemplified those attributes in your work life. But before we get to that, I'm fascinated by names, and Latrenda is a beautiful name. And I was wondering if you have a story that goes with Latrenda.
So I'm my mother's only child. I'm actually the only child. Born and raised here in Atlanta, Georgia. And so my mom actually had her sister name me. So she named my first and middle name, so Latrenda Cherie. So it was given to me by my aunt, and she actually passed away from Crohn's disease. So to
Oh,
have been named by her is such a special thing and touching dear and near to my heart.
oh, that's sweet, a lovely story, and so you have an angel
Yes,
with you, and angels are important, particularly in trying times. Uh, before we jumped on air here, you had said this is a trying day, even,
yes.
and and I'm wondering about how you utilize your angels. Just kind of go with that. Um, there must be folks like your aunt and others who you carry with you,
Yes,
to help you stay grounded. And so, can you say a little bit more about that?
yes. So, each day before walking to work, I say a prayer. And, just for us to, no matter what occurs at work, just for each day, God just give me the strength and the courage to be able to get through the day and to be able to navigate my team to make sure that, you know, we have made it through the day because unfortunately the times that we're in, we have to just be thankful and grateful for the little small things that we do have in regards to being able to get up and go to work each day.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure that your team can appreciate that you appreciate the little things, as you say.
Yes.
And tell me more about the little things. Sometimes we think like it's got to be sort of a big, you know, um, adulation or celebration or something to get through a hump, but the little things, they really matter, don't they?
Yes. So the little things for me is just paying attention to detail. Just personally, with my mother, she can tell when there's something going on with me. So if she recognizes just in my voice that I may have had a bad day or a challenging day, she may just stop by the house and bring me a bag of Skittles and a Coke. And just
Oh,
that small thing will just brighten up my day. So I
oh,
take that to work, just a little. Sometimes I can see that there's a staff member, there's something going on with them. So I may just put a sticky note on their computer, or I may just send them a text message. It's gonna be okay, you're gonna have a great day. And I think just those little things just help them, one, to realize that you have a sincere heart. You just don't look at them as just robots and working. And
mhm.
then two, you just never know what someone's going through, and just that little encouragement to get them through the day.
Oh, that's lovely. So what has been done for you, you do for others, it sounds.
Yes, the golden
And
rule.
the golden rule. it's in all traditions.
Yes.
And so I really, I appreciate that, you know, you recognize when things are a little out of sort, for both for yourself and for another person. And it seems like you have developed a really keen sense on how to offer compassion.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if what that word might mean to you. What does compassion mean to you?
Compassionate, it's just a sense of just, I know there's so much going on in the world, there's so much going on in your life, there's so much going on in your personal life. But for me, compassion, especially compassion at work, is when I get out my car, it doesn't matter what is going on at home. I have to get into the mode of, you're here to provide compassion not only to your employees, but also to the patients. And
Hmm,
so whatever that means, and whatever, however you can be able to work that for that day, that's what you need to focus on, just to get you through the day, because
hmm,
that's the time that we're in currently. And then, you know, when I leave work, I also have to have some compassion for myself to decompress. So I
right.
have a little routine when I go home. I have a son, he's 3 years old, and that's just the love of my life. So it's, when I see him, nothing else matters. Like,
Wonderful.
yes.
That's great.
So
You know,
just
tell me
compassion
more tell me
stages.
more about your son.
Oh, he's 3 years old. He's so smart. He's so amazing. He's very independent. So if I say, hey, mommy's had a long day, he'll come and say, "Mommy, are you okay?" And he'll come rub my hand, and he shows compassion to
Hmm,
me. And so I've just instilled that in him, and just being able to give that joy to him, to know that he's going to raise him to be an amazing kid, give him a touch of my childhood.
oh goodness. And it seems like you've been real fortunate to have a loving environment, and you're instilling values in your child that are important to you.
Yes.
And you know, some folks are not fortunate in that way, as you know.
Yes.
And my guess is that you recognize those folks, and you're doing your best, you know, in your leadership role to make sure that they're getting it from somewhere.
Right.
If they're not getting it from home or haven't gotten it from their life story. Well, I think, you know, sometimes it's important to kind of recognize too those things about our work life that are, you know, that are fulfilling and give us a sense of purpose. But also there may be things in our work life that are, you know, kind of perfunctory or tedious.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I'm always fascinated by that because, you know, things that we sort of have to do as a chore, you know, when we're doing it, it may seem that blasted. I wish I could be doing something else or turn my attention to something else that's more enjoyable. Um, you know, and in fact, you said earlier about staying focused, and I'm wondering if there are some of those tediums in your work life where you kind of challenged to get through them, but when you look back on it, you say, "Oh well, you know, I'm really proud of myself for having gotten through that."
Oh, yes.
Do you have an example of that, Latrinda?
Yes. I mean, just beginning in this role. So I've been here in my role for about a year now. And so one of the biggest challenges is I was faced with this a new team. So new beginnings, not just for myself, but for the team. So to navigate the trust, the openness, and the communication, not just the team providing it to me, but for myself to provide it back to the team and understand what type of communication style that I need to have for them to understand and continue to, follow operationally what we need to do for our patients. So that was a journey for me because I had to actually change my leadership style from previous leader roles
Hmm.
to be a little bit more open to my staff as far as just sharing different stories just about my life and the things that I have going on in my journeys, for them to understand that I am a little bit more relatable to them and some of the things that they have going on. And so that has worked for me to continue to build that trust and openness for the team.
Oh, building trust is so important, right?
Yes.
With our colleagues as well as with the patients and the families. Um, but I was just thinking to myself that you know you're growing, with this team is so important. And one thing that you said that I think is important to know, work life is changing a bit now. It used to be that you'd go to work and work was work and life was life. And but now, there is such a thing as you said, sharing a little bit of yourself, having people recognize what may be going on with you so they can be more sensitized as to how to best work with you that day. um, you know, you know, Giving in that way and revealing in that way, it seems to me it actually makes life at work easier rather than staying closed off
Yes.
and isolated. So it sounds like you're recognizing the value of bringing your personhood into your work life.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really great. And the trust that you talk about, um, uh, where does that come from? Is that something that's, that you grew up with, just in terms of learning about, how to trust? Is it something that comes naturally to you?
Trust, I've always been taught trust is earned, it's not given. And also I've learned that you have to go into every situation with a clean slate. So
Mm,
no matter whatever your past transgression was before I arrived, um, with this team, everyone has a clean slate. And so until you break my trust, I don't have a reason not to trust you. So I go in, you're innocent until proven guilty.
well, that's good. And I imagine there can be some mistakes in work life. We all make them.
Yes.
And there is something about um, sort of acknowledging that it's a system issue and maybe not just purely an individual issue. And I bet that you're really good at, making sure that people feel that there is a team relationship to mistakes, and they build trust in you when it's that way. Uh,
Yes.
uh, I like to think about work life as um, something that it should be something that I'm gaining from, that I'm growing from. Are some things in your work life right now that you feel like you're learning, maybe for the first time, or growing something in the middle?
So again, I go back to my leadership style before in previous leader roles. I didn't have to be so hands-on. I pretty much gave them the task, they completed the task, and we didn't have, and we moved on. In this role, I have to be a little bit more hands-on, pretty much getting in the gamba. And
Uh-huh.
so again, so I didn't have to share personal stories or any. So for I have to overall just understand that it's okay to have a balance between sharing but not sharing too much, to understand that we still have some roles that I am still, we are co-workers, but there's still a fine line between the respect.
Right, right. And tell me how you have felt recently of being respected. Is there an example or a story where you've been appreciated and respected?
Yes. So the staff, we had an issue with complaining. One of the methods that was challenging was um, no orders and no appointments. And so this is one of the issues that the staff complained and said, hey, we want to get some resolution. How can we figure out, I'm providing you with this issue. How can you help me or help us as the team resolve it or get moved to the next level? And so I went in, it took me a couple of days, and I went through at least for a whole month, about 5,000 patients.
Wow.
I tallied it one by one, and I presented it to the staff. And I said, this is what I did to tally so that I can take this information to the appropriate individuals. And I think to show them that I went through each patient one by one for them to understand that, yes, I'm here with you. We can do this together. But moving forward, I'm going to need your help because I don't want to go through 5,000 patients again. And so that helped them to understand that I listen and I'm willing to help do the work as well. But I need help from you guys to efficiently get it done.
Oh, that's great. You know, one thing that I'm curious about right now is how you got into this. What drew you? What was your call into laboratory medicine?
So originally I had a different path. Um, Originally, so my mother, she's in healthcare, so healthcare is all that I know. I don't know any other industry.
Hmm.
So as a little girl, I said, okay, my mom, she bought me this doctor set, and it had a stethoscope. And so, I would play doctor on her. And I said, Mom, I'm gonna grow up and be some type of doctor. And then I said, okay, I'm gonna be a physician assistant. So I have my first degree in laboratory science, and then I have my second degree in medical laboratory science, because I said, okay, if I know how to read and interpret labs, then I can help better diagnose the patient. And then I was at a crossroad, and I said, okay, do I want to go more clinical, or do I want to go more operational? And at that time, I had my son, and so I'm like, clinical sometimes is more of a 24 operation, and I wanted to make sure that I invested time in my son. And so I chose, okay, let me go more on the administrative side. It
Mhm.
has a little bit more stability and no weekends, no holidays, depending on the job, maybe some flexibility, that work life balance a little bit more. And so I just received my master's in health administration this past May. And
Oh,
yeah,
congratulations. That's a
thank
big
you.
accomplishment. That's
Yes.
super.
And actually, for this position, I had worked previously with Emory as a medical technologist, and the person that actually interviewed me, that was part of the hiring process, I had known her for years, and I was like, wow, the circle of life, how it turns back around, and now I'm here interviewing for one of your positions.
Oh, wow. That's super. You are Emery Blue and Gold. You just each time you reveal a new story, I light up and my heart is warmed by it. I'm wondering if there's some things that you can offer to me and to others who may watch this show. Those things that I think you've talked a little bit about it, about how you you pray each day and you're boosted by your mom and your son. Um, are there other things that help you stay engaged with the essence of joy at work?
Yes. So one of my biggest things that I believe is no matter what's going on, you just have to continue to live in the moment. And so with each challenge, with each conflict resolution that I may have to participate in, it's at the end of the day, I always leave with my staff on the gratitude of, I'm thankful for you. And just also reminding them that we're here because of our patients. And we work in a cancer center. So just to see them and the things that they go through and the smiles that they have sometimes when I interact with them. And some of the patients I have a great relationship with. And so when I see them, we have conversations, and I'm just reminded each time I see a patient that my life is not that bad.
Uh, yeah, and you really have that. You have a felt sense of knowing. I'm guessing of the kind of suffering they may be going through.
Yes.
And I think in order to taste joy, we also have to understand our own suffering and and give it respect
Hmm.
and reverence. Oftentimes if we push away our own story and say, well, my story is not important, but a person can have a felt sense of your companionship when you are listening to your own heart and listening to where you've been helped and where you've had a low time. And and a person can feel figuratively held by you in that way.
Yes.
And so I have I recognize, even though you've not told your whole story, I can recognize you've been through some tough times.
Oh yeah.
And you know, we all have if we're human,
Mhm.
but if we block it out, then we become less approachable and less available for persons that we're caring for and caring with. And I've learned a lot from you today, and I really appreciate all that you're doing for the patients and also for your staff and the colleagues that you have in the differing roles at Winship Cancer Institute. And I'm proud to call you a colleague.
No, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I wish you well in the future, and I look forward to seeing you in person sometime once we get through the pandemic, and we'll continue to look out for each other.
Yes, it'll be a pleasure to one day meet you.
Well, likewise, Latrinda. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You have a good one.
Mhm.